All right, everyone. The other day, Donald Trump met with Zelensky. Of course, he's conducting informal diplomacy. He's not allowed to conduct actual diplomacy as a non-president because he's not actually in office, but he can meet with other world leaders. Liberals at first balked at the idea and said, well, you're violating the law because you're not allowed to talk to other world leaders, as though other former presidents don't do this on a routine basis. Former presidents are also head diplomats for the United States, so that's really a non-starter. They don't apply that logic to Bill Clinton when he goes off to Taiwan. They don't apply that to Obama when he goes to a foreign country, only to Donald Trump. You will note this. That's number one. But then, as the meeting, right, comes out and says, well, we're going to work out a deal that will be good for both Ukraine and Russia. And this is called diplomacy. It's called negotiation. It's called, hey, guys, can we calm down and not have World War III over this fucking issue? It's called, hey, you've fought each other to a stalemate at this point. Neither side is really capable of winning everything, so you're going to have absolutely no fucking choice but to negotiate. And so, you know, if I'm elected, I'm going to facilitate that. Liberal commentators went nuts over this. Link in the description, archived tweet by Krasenstein, actually. Archiving it so that he doesn't get any undue attention, any clickbaity bullshit, fake engagement on Twitter, complaining, well, Donald Trump is a bitch of the Russians and stuff like that. It's called negotiating. It's called Russia can't be defeated because it's already taken territory. Ukraine can't be defeated because it maintains most of its territory and has been pumped full of weapons steroids by NATO. Neither side is fundamentally capable of winning, and in the meantime, civilians are suffering. People are being called up out of reserve, they're getting shot at, civilians are getting bombed, you've got drone strikes, you've got everything under the sun going on. Since neither side can feasibly be expected to win, and winner take all, like a total war situation where Russia manages to overwhelm all of Ukraine, the Ukrainians manage to overwhelm all of Russia, not going to happen either. Since that's not going to happen, you have to have a brokered peace deal of some sort, or at least a ceasefire. Trump can probably pull this off. If he can get North and South Korea to approach, walk into North Korea, first president to do so, and get everything accomplished that he did there, in one of the most delicate political situations in all of the world's history. If he's capable of doing that, then he's definitely capable of talking to Putin and Zelensky, sitting them down at a table and saying, look, guys, this ain't working. Your civilian populations are suffering and there's all sorts of crazy shit going on. You need to cut it out. He's capable of doing that. In the end, will either party get everything that they want? No. Russia wants 4 provinces from Ukraine, in addition to Crimea, of course, that they've already overwhelmed. That's now off the table, I think. Ukraine wants a return of all of its territory, including Crimea. Again, that's off the table. Neither of these parties is going to get what they want. Russia wants Ukraine never to be in NATO. That might be on the table. Ukraine wants in NATO. You've got the Minsk agreement and all of these other things. It's convoluted. This is why the United States originally tried to keep out of foreign entanglements, because then we end up getting involved. Thankfully, we're only involved in the diplomatic sense at that point. I have a feeling that Donald Trump would continue to allow weapon shipments to Ukraine, but he would charge them for them instead of giving them away for free. He would attempt to, smooth things over with both Zelensky and Putin, and probably would do a good job. I have a feeling, I believe that he would be successful in the end. It would take a while. It's not like there's going to be Trump can be hyperbolic sometimes. He says, well, there'll be a peace deal on day one. That's probably not going to happen. I have a feeling he's discussing various terms with Zelensky as we speak in order to try to facilitate the process more quickly. And he's like, behind closed doors, Zelensky's like, look, you can't win this war. It's impossible for us to fund you forever. So you're going to have to negotiate. Behind closed doors, I think that he hardballed him more. But in front of the cameras, of course, he's more conciliatory. And that's what you have to do. You have to make it clear neither of these countries is fundamentally capable of winning. Liberal commentators, meanwhile, seem to think, no, fucking kill all the Russians, let's have World War III. What are you going to do? Are we going to invade Russia? Because under Kamala Harris, we might actually end up in a hot war with Russia. That wouldn't go over so well. Are we capable of holding our own against Russia's defensive systems? Abso-fucking-lutely we are. We've got way more aircraft carriers, far more ships, and a considerably higher amount of manpower in NATO. It's an overwhelming force. It's the largest alliance in world history. Would this be a good idea? No, it would not. It would not be a good idea. You would end up with a nuclear war. What I've warned of, I talked about this the other day, isn't just the nukes. It's that there are so many standard munitions, dummy missiles, chemical bombs, and possibly bioweapons that are in the stockpile that the Russians have. And they've got their own alliance as well, by the way. People seem to forget this. The entire world would pop off. ECOWAS and the Eastern Bloc countries would go to war with one another. Venezuela would invade Guyana. There'd be nothing to stop them. We'd be too distracted to do anything. Japan would probably get attacked by the Chinese. Taiwan would get invaded. The entire world would realign very quickly. And probably the world of man would end. It would end in a bunch of fireballs. That's what you get, by the way, if you elect Kamala Harris, probably. I presume that would probably be the end result. This election is exceptionally important. And the liberal commentators are like, you sound like Bush Republicans, which doesn't surprise me at this point, sociopolitically. You sound it's sort of like mission accomplished. Yeah, we're going to go and get them. We're going to snap our suspenders and we're going to go and bomb the Russians or something like that. Trump actually apparently threatened to bomb Russia if they invaded Ukraine. Guess what happened? They didn't invade Ukraine for 4 years. The second that Biden takes office, they're like, Donetsk looks awfully nice this time of year. We want those oil fields and those sunflower fields. So we're just going to invade. Because we don't respect Western leadership at the moment. Now you have to compensate. You'll have to have a lasting peace deal. My suspicion is that the deal would be that the Russians withdraw from 3 of those provinces. They gain Donetsk. And in return, Ukraine joins NATO. In the end, that's probably about the best that you can get. Ukraine's now in NATO. Russia can't land invade anyone because every country along its border is in NATO already. Sweden just joined, etc. And so you don't have a problem anymore. It's no longer possible for Russia to attack without a defensive response which would involve all of NATO. That would necessitate probably World War III. In the end, NATO, by the way, would beat the shit out of Russia. It's not the same as it was the last time that Russia was domestically invaded, long ago. Technology has changed and Russia has fallen behind. But Russia does have a lot more manpower than Ukraine. They have a lot more air superiority, etc., etc. Ukraine's only able to hold its own because an entire alliance is backing them. But they can't get directly involved, so you have to have a peace negotiation. Once that happens, you've effectively got a locked-up world. If Ukraine is allowed into NATO, the old agreement is scrapped, so Ukraine is no longer a neutral party. It's joined NATO. But it cedes territory in the process, and Russia gets part of what it wants. Then you can have a lasting peace. It's no longer possible for the 2 powers to go to war unless you want the possibility of a nuclear weapon being deployed. And so that's probably what would end up happening. Can you imagine Kamala Harris trying to negotiate a peace deal? Oh yeah, that'd go over real well. Tim Walz, send him over so that he can do his chucklehead act with Vladimir Putin. Yeah, I'm sure that he'll respect that administration. Now, he'd chuckle at it, and say, look, this is worse than fucking having to talk to Joe Biden. Doesn't even make sense. These Americans have gone crazy and become soft and weak. With Trump, we can be much stronger. We need to beef up our military and preferably not use it. Also, Donald, if you ever see this video, or any Donald Trump staffer, get rid of Menu 3 of the MREs. Please don't torture our troops anymore. Bring back the ratatouille or the vegetarian lasagna in its stead. That's about all. Peace out.